One of the many questions that we get asked at Harmony is, if we do not give tests, how do we know that the kids are actually learning? And we do that through a variety of ways. First and foremost is our curriculum. We make sure to find where the student currently is at and then help them progress in a very logical way so they don't miss any of those key points that may make them struggle later on. So instead of going from A to G to Z, we'll go A, B, C, D in order to make sure that they don't miss anything. Second is notebooks. Every kid is given a notebook, and you can find all of their work inside of this notebook. Parents will have access to this notebook at all times. And so if there's ever a question about what is being learned or worked on, we can refer to the curriculum that we're working on, as well as go to our notebooks. And then third is, I like to follow Bloom's taxonomy through the actual concept and learning process. And so let's take the circumference of a circle as an example. First, we're going to remember the formula, C equals 2 pi r. Then we're going to understand what that formula means and what it does. What does C stand for? What does pi stand for? What is r? What is the radius, diameter? Every part of that circle we want to understand so we then can move on to the next step, which is to apply. We take that formula and we input a number for the radius and we start working out the formula together. We then analyze that information by having the kids get up and find their own circumferences. So maybe they're measuring a tire, maybe they're measuring a bowl, a plate, a clock, anything like that. They will then measure it themselves to make sure that they're understanding the concept. We then move on to evaluate. This is where I may go up on the board and I will start writing down the formula, I'll start inputting numbers, and maybe I make a mistake intentionally. I want the kids to acknowledge that I made a mistake and then help me correct it. That shows that they understand the concept well enough to start teaching it. And finally, we create something. We want them to show that they have learned how to do it to a point where they can teach it themselves. And so in this example, we had two major projects that the kids worked on. The first is a YouTube video where kids got together and they showed 3 different ways you can measure the circumference of a circle. And then the other way is by building a fire pit. The kids actually took the time to measure out a radius, draw a circle, and then tell me how many cinder blocks we needed to buy in order to complete this entire circle without buying too many. I bought the exact number of cinder blocks that was necessary in order to accomplish this, and I told the kids I'm not buying any more, and they did it perfect. And one way to go about doing this is just one way that we make sure that the kids are learning what they are supposed to be learning in order to help them grow without the need for tests.